Assalamu alaikum. I've seen there's somebody from Hungary. So good evening, and thank you so much for joining our session tonight on digital transformation and how is the finance and accounting function transforming in Saudi Arabia. A couple of housekeeping items before we start. Please mute your line upon entry. This meeting is being recorded. Post your questions and comments in the chat box, and we will leave 10 minutes for Q&A before the end of the session. The digital transformation of finance is rapidly gaining speed across the Middle East region, propelled by normal business competition and accelerated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Finance and accounting professionals in the Middle East, like their counterparts around the world, are responding to the challenges and opportunities presented by leading-edge technology to digitally transform the finance function. The digital revolution is impacting many of finance's processes for organizations, both large and small. While finance faces challenges in carrying out its digital transformation, very significant advances has been made in the last year and will continue to be made. Successful implementation of automation leads to changes in how a business operates, how it makes and implements decisions, how it values its people, and ultimately how it delivers value to customers. To remain relevant and to help their companies compete, finance functions need to be part of this transformation. In a recent survey conducted by IMA on the state of technology in the Middle East and India, the percentage of finance functions at large companies that reported extensive digital transformation between 2019 and 2020 increased by nearly half. The change was even more dramatic among medium-sized companies, which often struggle with tighter margins and more limited resources, with a percentage more than doubling. Most organizations know that enhancing their analytical capabilities is critical to their success and survival, helping them gain a competitive advantage or helping them maintain their current market position. To know more about the state of technology in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, I have the pleasure to welcome my panelists for this evening. And I have to note that Mr. Iyad Al-Rimlawi was not able to join us for a last minute work commitment. So we have with us tonight Mr. Yahya Kafi, CMA, CSCA, CFO, board member and audit committee member at Abdellatif Jameel Enterprise, based in Saudi, in Jeddah, Saudi. Yahya, in addition to being the Chief Financial Officer and board member of Abdellatif Jameel Enterprise, is a board member and audit committee member in other companies. Mr. Kafi is an experienced strategic CFO with diverse technical and geographical experience, having worked in manufacturing, shipping, FMCG, NGO, financing and investments in North America and the Middle East. Mr. Kafi holds a BCom from Ain Shams University in Cairo, CMA, CFM, CSCA, and CPA from the US and from Canada, and an MBA from Athabasca, I hope I pronounce it right, University. Welcome, Yahya.
Thank you.
And Yahya is also a very long-standing IMA member and very supportive of IMA. Mr. Nuruddin Al-Hindi, CMA, Group Finance Director at Al-Aju Group Trading Company. Nuruddin has over 18 years experience in finance and accounting field, mainly in FMCG and food production across the region, namely UAE, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Iraq. He started his career in Dubai with Jamal Majid Group of Companies and Al Ghurair Foods, where he stayed for 9 years. He then moved to Kuwait with IFCO Company as finance head, before working with Savola Group as finance head in the Levant and Iraq. He is currently the finance director at Al-Aju Group in KSA. Welcome, Noor.
Thank you.
Last but not least, thank you. Mr. Mohammed Al-Khubani, CMA, Chief Financial Officer and Vice President, Finance at Nahdi Medical Company. Mr. Mohammed Al-Khubani is a Chief Financial Officer with a high-level management and business strategy experience of more than 25 years, working for a number of reputable national and multinational companies in FMCG and retail. He has a strong business performance drive for developing financial and governance strategies, financial analysis, budgeting, forecasting, and ensuring compliance to all administrative matters, including legal and audit requirements. Before joining Nahdi, he was the Finance Associate Director, Arabian Peninsula and Pakistan at the Procter & Gamble, P&G. During his 17 years at P&G, he worked on several leading positions in Jeddah, Dubai, and Geneva, covering all finance and accounting key roles. His professional qualifications include Certified Management Accountant, CMA. Mr. Mohammed has a bachelor degree from King Fahd University, KFU PM. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us this evening. MashaAllah, we have more than 60 years of consolidated experience, if not more, between the three of you. My first question is for you, Noor.
It's our pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. The COVID-19 pandemic, notably one of the biggest disruptors of our modern time, has deterred, if not canceled out, long-term plans, but it also accelerated digital transformation initiatives around the world and across industries and functions. What has the scene been like in Saudi Arabia, and what are some of the notable highlights you can share with us?
Actually, I want to share my practical experience, which I faced here in KSA with Al Ajwa Group, where we are one of the companies based on our main channels and main production is IT and software development and printing and photocopiers. This makes for me a very a challenging experience with the situation of COVID-19 pandemic, where our backbone was the printing solutions and photocopiers, fax machines, scanners. We are the agent of Canon and Ricoh in the region. Frankly speaking, this industry has been impacted like the aircraft business, as per like also in the let's say every airlines. We are also impacted this which all tending to have paperless attitude in their company, governmental even entities. So we suffered so much. This is again exactly what you said and mentioned, that it's open for us a new way to think about how to modify and adapt the situation as at the company level. I'm talking now about Al Ajwa itself. We start to have a new business solutions that to be an alternative of photocopier and printing solutions. We start to work on IBS, integrated business solution, and we start to have smart building solutions, which is all, again, it's talking about digital transformation for the hotels, for the university, hospitals, universities, all these we start to focus on, and we find a very green to have such a solution to be implemented and adapted by the government, which is really one of, and I work in the region and across the region in Dubai, in Kuwait, in Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, in all these countries I have worked, but I have never met a governmental initiatives like what KSA is doing, even before the COVID-19 pandemic. So when the COVID-19 pandemic started, already they have support them more and more, and makes enable them to face this pandemic easily and to continue the life situation and the economy of Saudi Arabia to continue. We cannot say normal, but close to normal. So really, we have in KSA a great governmental initiatives that they start to do it, and still they are pursuing this initiatives. And what we have again from our business with the government, we saw many future initiatives that it will be implemented in the following 1 to 2 years. So Saudi will be one of the leaders, not in the region, let me say in the worldwide. We are number 4 now in the Forbes for the IT solutions and for the digital transformation. So this is the situation in Al Aju, and this is the situation in KSA during the pandemic, with what I faced myself and personally having such a situation, and to adapt with it.
Thank you, Noor. Definitely a very challenging situation with your whole business model in question. You had to adapt, and of course, as you rightly mentioned, the role of the government during the pandemic has been instrumental in helping companies navigate through this pandemic.
The key factor. Yes, the tune at the top. We always saying the tune at the top. If the government is willing to do, then the companies will follow. Then the private sector, the government sector will follow. So even the people will follow at their personal level. They will follow.
Thank you.
So it's the key, the key factor actually.
I mean, Yahya, Muhammad, in Noor's case, the pressure to change, to automate was very high, given that their business model was no longer sustainable. What was the scenario in your company when it comes to the digital transformation? How much did the COVID accelerate it? Because we all know the transformation happened even before the COVID with the IR4, but the COVID just accelerated it. How is the scene in your company, Yahya?
So thank you, Hadi. Now, what happened is, in our situation, we have started early on before COVID hit. And the fact of the matter is we have different businesses, some based on mobility, like the auto business and oils and stuff, some based actually in logistics, where it did not stop and it had to work even harder. And the problem that you had with the staff, with the lockdowns and being able to reach people in and outside of the country. Now, the acceleration took place. We had already started. Then we pushed forward in terms of our value chain throughout the value chain in general. So we looked at our sales and marketing, we looked at our supply chain management, we looked at the whole cycle, and we ensured that we have digital access that is safe, sound, and user-friendly for our customers and our stakeholders at large. Some of our products, for instance, when we talk about logistics, that like people are at home. If you cannot ship things on time, the problem will be much bigger. And for that, we're able to support the community. We're able to support the businesses around the country. And as Noor rightfully said, the country had been moving in the digital direction for years now, and that made it easier for the consumers and the customers to adopt the digital transition in the last couple of years. So yes, how did we accelerate? We introduced new programs, new initiatives, had more time to work on them, given that our customer-facing time is much less. And that eventually, in my own opinion, will change how everyone does business forever. It's not a stopgap measure. It's not something that you're doing just for, it's raining for a couple of days and no one can really go out, or it's windy or this or that. We will do business differently from here on. We're going to study differently. Universities will be different. Home supplies will be different. And we were able to break the barrier into what could be done digitally and what cannot be.
Yeah.
That was a big problem. We always thought in a linear position, saying, okay, A, B, C, D cannot be done. Let's focus on the rest. Today, it's A to Z, it's the full supply chain, it's the full value chain. Exactly.
Yeah, thanks, Yahya. Mohammed, any comments from your side? I know the healthcare was probably the most challenging to go into the digital transformation because of the face-to-face nature of the industry. What are your views on this?
Right, thanks, Hanadi. First, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let me first thank the whole opportunity from you and the IMA Middle East. I also welcome Yahya and Noor and welcome the whole team. But just build on what Yahya and Noor's valuable input already. I think the country started before the pandemic to set up the phase with the Vision 2030, frankly, to accelerate a lot of digital plan. Today in the pandemic, like what we saw with Tawakkulna and before that Abshir, frankly, the country is pushing the IT agenda as a top priority. And the e-government is a very good example. And even from an internet speed point of view, the country is now in the top 10 worldwide. So this is a key enabler for all the businesses to shift and implement the digital strategy. Now the pandemic came, and frankly, it accelerated the whole agenda for everybody from a government point of view and also from all sectors. In the healthcare specifically, I think we have two sides. We have the hospital sides and we have also the retail sides. Now we have the retail who already has implemented, IT solutions, enablers, e-commerce platforms, supply chain capability and delivery mechanism. Were basically able to capitalize on the opportunity and reach to the consumer, especially during the curfew. This is from one side. From the hospital sides and the key risks related to facing the patient, that was definitely an issue. And we had to implement a lot of safety measures to be able to basically drive the health agenda during the pandemic.
Thank you, Mohammed. My second question is around the role of the CFO, your role as CFOs. We have seen this role changing pre-pandemic to be more on the critical and strategic side of it, giving more importance to business continuity, business strategy, and supporting the overall decision making. How has the role evolved in the kingdom? Did it evolve in the same manner as we have seen it globally? Where do you stand? Yahya, let's start with your experience as a seasoned CFO.
Thank you, Hanadi. So, as you rightfully mentioned, it had been going more strategic in the past few years. What happened with COVID is a two-pronged situation. One is you had to suddenly start controlling new types of transactions and start controlling new types of business environment that we're not used to. So that on the control side, it introduced a whole lot of new risks, a whole lot of new things to deal with. On the strategy side, strategy typically looks at years ahead. Now, CFOs were faced with a situation where overnight, literally, you needed to figure out how will you do business differently. So I think the major change for me was not the strategic part, it's how you had to re-embed yourself quickly into daily operations and change, like engineers call it design and build. You're fixing the car while it's running, you're changing the tire while the car is running. You have business every day, you have to find new ways to do things. You have to come up with ideas. You have to support business in a very different way, or else you will not survive. And what I've seen in the last year and a half, and I'm sure Akh Mohammed and Akh Noor would have seen the same, you have seen quite a few CFOs that could not keep up with the pace, could not keep up with the different point of view, did not have enough standing and strength on their daily financials so that they can quickly turn around and figure out cash flow issues and figure out funding issues and figure out collection issues, because they either were too immersed into control or too strategic out of the business. So it did push us forward and pulled us backwards at the same time in different ways.
That's a very interesting insight. Yeah, absolutely, because you have to maintain the business yet think of solution, and not many can juggle with these responsibilities. Muhammad, how did you see your role changing or evolving?
Fully aligned with Al-Akh Yahya. So basically the strategic aspect, longer term and the short term, were basically key challenge. And we have seen CEOs and board leaning forward on CFOs to help them navigate through this tough time. I do see the finance role is like a campus. They're guiding the company towards the tough time. And it was a tough time. So you cannot live with annual budgets anymore. That was almost a monthly rolling budget that you have to adopt. And then CFO plays a major role. So, and I think from a strategic aspect, longer term, to ensure that currently the business model can maintain and sustain the 5-year business plan. And then on the short term, being it cash flow issues, working capital, and efficiencies to mitigate the risk, and as much as you can to deliver the results and resilience. So basically the whole organization faced a lot of fatigue to drive this crisis management on a daily basis for a long time, to ensure that the business have the resilience to pass through tough time. So the overall business partnership is a key role from a CFO and his team during this tough time.
Thank you, Muhammad. Noor, any additional comments from your side?
I highlight here. Yes, I want to highlight that what happened exactly. It's like we are in a bee cell, خلية نحل. Now we all over the company, board, stakeholder, suppliers, customers, every member in the business and in the industry, we all on the one table all the day on Zoom, on Microsoft Teams to find the solutions, to find how to manage the cash flow, especially in mainly the biggest impact was on the cash flow, how to manage it and how to start to invest in the alternative solutions of the current situation, and how to manage the team who start to work from home, and how people will accept such a situation. Some people are happy to work from home, others are not. This is really, it was a shock, as Mr. Yahya said. One day overnight, we start to live another life which we never lived before, and we never expected, and we never been ready for it. So it's really, it was needing a jointly efforts from everyone to have such a coordination, cooperation to pass these obstacles which we faced in the 2020, and even now in 2021 we are in the same situation, but a little bit we adapt. Now we can accept everything, like we are living in this pandemic for 5 years before. So as much as we give efforts in this 1 year, really we feel that it's 5 years. It was not 1 year as the CFOs to give the correct data, forecasting, budgeting. Even budgeting, you cannot, as Mr. Mohammed said, you no more 5 years plan, no more years plan. All this now it's collapsed. We have to manage our 6-7 month future, and this is the perfect situation and ideal situation. This is really it was an experience where we will never forget it in our careers.
Thank you, Noor. Yahya, you have some comments?
Just a quick comment to add to Noor and Muhammad. We are still humans. We have families, we have things to take care of. So that added pressure was on top of the added pressure at home, was on top of working 24/7. So we did not, like, people tend to forget that CFOs have lives, which we don't really, but I mean, we still have families. So pressure was very, very, very clear for everyone.
Yeah, I think that is the kind of uniqueness and the severity of the COVID pandemic, is that the crisis is both human, it's on the health, the human being, as well as economical. So there's always, it's a double edge type of crisis. That's why it was very difficult to manage and to navigate. So we talked about the changing role of the CFO, and we cannot talk about the changing role of the CFO without talking about the new skills that are required with this changing role. We have seen from many surveys that we conducted, the importance of upskilling and reskilling was there even before the pandemic, and now even more so. We have new terms that you need to handle and work with every day, the RPAs, chatbots, visualization, artificial intelligence, predictive analysis, so many facets to the digital transformation. So what are the main skill sets or skills that have surfaced in your role as CFO, and also in your team's role? So what are the skills that now you are expecting from your team members to help you with this digital transformation and to move to an automated or digitally transformed company? Mohammed?
Yes, thanks, Hanadi. So if you allow me, before going to the skills, I'll just spend 1 minute on the definition. I think before defining the skill, we need to identify what is the digital transformation. So simply, it's adapting the technology, holistic approach for adapting technology to create value. And I think that this is basically the what and the why. Why are we doing it? It's today the tighter margin, the stronger competition, increasing stringent regulation and policies, all of this putting a pressure. So it's today, it's not a nice to have, it's a mandatory. It's basically key enabler for sustainability, okay? And there are different types, externally connecting with the regulators, the suppliers, the banks, even the business model itself. Today, the e-commerce is a main digital aspect of it. And then the internal part of the digital transformation, which is, there are examples. So the infrastructure, the bandwidth, the ERP system. There is the RPA, which is to drive efficiencies. There is the predictability with artificial intelligence, dashboards with the business intelligence. This Zoom, the communication that we have today with this virtual meetings, which was a huge enabler. And like the governance in the future, the blockchain also will help also with accounting governance. So digital transformation is a very wide, and as you see, new. Now, if I move to the skills, I can summarize key 3 skills that is needed. So first of all is curiosity. We have to have this capacity to learn and to accept and to read and to explore. Today, when I talk to my son, he's completely in a different world. And they can figure out things that I seriously cannot cope with. So this generation and the business model is evolving in a way to serve those customers. So we have to cater for their needs. So the first skill from management, from employees, from all of us is curiosity and learning. The second skill is the mindset, the adaptability. We have to be accepting change. And when implementing those projects, we should basically drive change management because there will be people resisting change. So we have to adapt, accept, and embrace. And يعني, we know a lot of examples. You know, what Amazon did to the retail world is a very clear example. And there are a lot of basically early adapters and slow adapters. So adaptation. And the last point, I would say innovation. So as individuals, we have, because digital helps us to create new business model ideas. So there is no status quo. You have to challenge the business model and drive innovation and creativity. So these are the top 3 skills from my side.
Thank you, Mohammed. That's actually very interesting that we are talking about accounting and finance professionals. And you mentioned 3 soft skills, basically. The 3 people's also skill, the curiosity, the mindset, and the innovation. Noor, do you have other skills? Are there any technical skills that are now required from the CFO, new technical skills required from the CFO and his team? You're on mute, Noor.
Sorry. What I was saying that I would like to add one skill. Let me say, what Mr. Mohammed mentioned. It's really a very important and crucial skills required in this time. And I want to add that we discover and figure out the people who can work under pressure. This is since I prepared my CV in 20 years ago. I was always mentioning I can work under pressure till I face it. And during my career, yes, we work under pressure, but this is a different kind of pressure where really it's required people who already prepared during his career to work under pressure. I hope I deliver the message. Who work within a minimum 10 years under pressure to be ready to pass the 2021 with success, with the full mentality and full correct decisions, and especially in the finance, I'm saying, and in the CEO's levels. Really, this is the additional one. And the technical side and the technical part I want to add. Technically, we as a finance now, we have to start getting more and more courses in the IT and IT solution and the IT field. Not only to be a user of software, a user of ERP system. We need to be mutually responsible with the IT to implement the ERP system. We have to be the one who guide the IT. How if I enter such data, what the result I need, and if sometimes the IT person, he knows the technical things how to give, but he don't know what we need. So we have to give the best results, that to understand what IT can do and what I need. If I have this know-how, so if I have this skill, I believe, not if I have, we have to have it now. From now onward, we have to have it, especially for the finance. IT should be part of finance. Even in the CMA and CPA, on all studies, we have to have a specific part to educate the accountants to be at least in understanding the IT's terms and terminologies.
Thank you, Noor. Yeah, there's ongoing discussions about the role of the CFO, the CTO, and how much they are interrelated and should be working very closely together. Yahya, do you have any additional skills that you either notice that you need to work more on yourself, and encourage your team members to have?
Technically, we had to get out of our typical comfort zone and accept things that we never accepted. Digital documents, digital signatures, email invoice. Like, we are accountants. we print, we sign, we stamp, we file, we archive. Suddenly, I had to get ready technically for a digital audit at year-end, where the auditors cannot come to my office. I cannot see them. And the whole thing has to be managed on a very tight deadline. So technically, we had to understand, adapt, and adopt both quickly in order to get our financials done. The ability to work remotely. I had staff stuck in different countries that I had to work with remotely. The ability to do that was something technically, it's not a soft skill, even technically new. On the soft skill side, I think almost all of us struggled with one new skill that we did not have: working from home. We're not used to that. So I had to have a space behind me for videos, so that when I'm on a video, which I do that a lot for classes and stuff, I have something presentable, right? Even the time, the space, the bandwidth on the internet. So that's another soft skill that is here to stay. We will never go back to going to the office every day. That will never happen, in my own opinion. Inshallah, not due to any health issues, but due to doing business differently. We're extremely more productive at home, but we need to get ready.
Yeah, we've seen actually that the work from home actually does work, and the companies and teams have been more productive. Now, talking about the digital transformation, of course, it's a very costly exercise, which requires tremendous investment. In January of 2021, Saudi Arabian organizations were expected to spend $11 billion this year alone on emerging technologies as part of the post-pandemic adaptation strategy. Some of the most notable benefits that digitally transformed companies stand to gain on the long run include lower cost, better resource allocation, increased insight, and fewer manual tasks, and most importantly, optimized decision-making. I know there is no one size fits all when you want to adopt automation or have a digital transformation strategy in your companies. How did you go about the transformation in your company, and what are the key elements or areas that you would advise every company that wants to automate to consider? Noor? You are on mute, Noor.
First of all, let me again appreciate what I have seen from the Saudi government in this area, where they support and they really spend, as you mentioned, 11 billion. And I can tell you also in 2021 and 2022, we'll have another 11-15 billion in this sector. I'm saying that because I'm interacting with the governmental entities for some digital transformation, KOX systems, which you can print your passport, print your ID, print your driving license by yourself. You can create your bank account. You can replace your ATM card, getting whatever by finger stamp or eye stamp. So this will be across the kingdom, and these machines will be available like Abshir machine and maybe more. Abshir is one of the fantastic and amazing, for me as personal, it's one of the biggest achievement of Saudi government to have such Abshir in the Saudi Arabia areas, cities, and everywhere, malls, wherever you go, you can do it, and it's linking all your profile with the government in one application, where you can manage yourself, you can manage your family, and what they did for Hajj and Umrah اعتمرنا application, صحتي application. The first health passport, we got it in Saudi Arabia from صحتي. Wherever we go, توكلنا. All these initiatives, really, it's all about IT and application, mobile application, smartphone application. Now the companies is following. This is what I mentioned, always doing at the top. So the companies will always follow. So to have adapt I cannot believe that some companies will work without ERP systems, especially if they are expanding from city to city or country to another. So all this will be adapt. Who is adapting, he will sustain and remain in the market. Others will shortly leave the market, as many companies we faced in pandemic period. They left the market where they were doing a great job without let me say with the simple systems and softwares they have, and they refuse to improve and develop their companies in this area. So all of those people have leaving the market, while who sustain and remain and getting the benefits, who have adapted the IT and technologies and the networking, all this stuff to have it in their company.
Thank you, Noor. So it is nonetheless a very expensive exercise, and not many companies have the budget. And we've seen from our study that large companies are way ahead in their automation from the medium or smaller size companies. So Mohammed, what advice would you give for, let's say, smaller company who wants to automate but have a smaller budget to do so? What questions should they consider before they go into automation?
And from my point of view, I think this has to be structural. Today, the market has a lot of variety of. Today, if I want to buy a car, there is the Lamborghini. There are different types. From an IT point of view, the spectrum is huge. So my advice would be to start from a strategic point of view. So what is the objective of this company? What is the 5-year business plan? Okay, so you start from that strategy, your business model. How would you grow? And then once you know what do you want to achieve, IT for me in that spectrum is a key enabler. It will unblock all the basically actions to help you to achieve certain strategy and certain value. Okay, being it efficiency, being it business model, as we discussed earlier. So I wouldn't, my advice wouldn't to go and pick what is available. Very simple example, and that's a personal example. We wanted to implement ERP in a company, and the options that we were reviewing were much higher than what the company used to make as a profit. It was a smaller company. So then you have to change. So don't do that. So start with what is your need. And then part of the need is the cost. So how much you can afford. Definitely there are positive ROI for such investments, but you have to see the cost benefit analysis. And then the last advice is do it gradually. Don't start by implementing best in class. Start gradually, do some pilots, see what is the positive impact, and then you gradually basically go.
Thank you, Mohammed. Great advice. Yahya, anything to add from your side?
Mohammed has said exactly what should be done, in my opinion. I'll just add to it as well that I would take this small company and ask them to find out during that implementation they're looking at, what else can they do? i.e., think about selling a new product, a new service, a new geography, a new idea, and incorporate that into your enabler. So the idea is, and I've been telling that to everyone who talks to me about digital transformation, it's not changing what you're doing today to be digital. It's changing you to what you want to be doing digitally. So that can include new products, new services, new geographies, new ideas, new distribution of funds. So yes, you're small and you're selling for whatever amount. Fine. Can you do something new? and then incorporate that into your ERP or into whatever app you want to use. And Mohammed said it rightfully, you don't have to go for the most expensive one. But then again, can you do something new?
Okay, yeah, and just one more question, because you all talked about the soft skills, the mindset, the curiosity, and you have all implemented or changed the way you are doing business by obviously automating some of the functions and digitally transformed. Have you seen resistance from your teams, and how easy from a team perspective, from a member, from a staff perspective, how easy was it, this adoption of the automation or digital transformation? How did they take this change, and were they ready in terms of also skill set? Mohammed.
I think it is one of the most difficult, frankly, challenges. I mean, personally, I can see it in the business and even in the finance function, and frankly, even in myself as being as an executive member. When the company starts with new initiatives, it's very hard to, especially that we are all the owner of the governance. You want to make sure that everything is in line. So, for example, when they started to implement the e-commerce, today losing the customer, the guest that who goes to the pharmacies to buy and assume that he will order, definitely that comes with a lot of challenges. We are used to open, brick and mortar, to move to e-commerce. So this is a very painful process till now. I mean, there are a lot of people with different views. So I think this is one of the most and critical, as I said, the skill that you need is to be adaptable and to accept change and to be curious and learn and develop. So today, I think one of the key challenges is to accept, and we have faced it. It is today as a challenge, and the resistance is always there. Now, how to go about it is, I think, to do it gradually. This is how you convince people. Do the change management properly. So do pilot, show them the results. They would, okay, that would be, and we have a lot of examples. For example, when we start to open in malls, a couple of years ago, we didn't have pharmacies in malls. And then you don't go full-fledged. You pilot, you share the results, and then you gradually do the move to try to basically get people embarked in the new strategy. But it is difficult.
Thank you. I just got a message that we are running out of time.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mohammed. I want to ask my last question, which actually I have seen it also in the chat box. Many are asking about what are the function in finance, the finance function that will be mostly affected by the digital transformation. Now in the 5-10 years ahead, how much of the finance function will be automated? Because I know, and you all know, like 2 years back, I think there was this huge concern about job losses because of the digital revolution. Now I think this has subsided because we realize new jobs will be created. So which functions will become automated in your opinion? Yahya?
The paper-based functions. So basically, what I see is the most paper-based function in a company is accounts payable and accounts receivable. The government is moving into e-invoicing. The blockchain is coming, but and it's coming very soon. And we do not have this paper-based processing of receiving an invoice, checking it, entering it into the system. All of that is moving to become more electronic than not. And to that question that one of our colleagues here is asking on the group, it is, I think, AP/AR is the most impacted part. Ranks right right after it is the operational treasury. We've seen 2 fully digitized banks open in Saudi where they don't have a branch. So I don't see a lot of paperwork happening in treasury as much as it used to, which will tie up to the e-invoicing and the blockchain and. So in short, for the time, that's my quick comment.
Thank you. Noor?
You're on mute, Noor.
I will emphasize on what Mr. Yahya has mentioned. Really, AP and AR will be the most, and across the finance, all the functions will be impacted, but mainly AP and AR, and I would add the budgeting and reporting function. Those functions impacted mainly because of paperless, as I mentioned at the beginning of my speech, where our industry impacted because of the paperless, and the government now is going for e-commerce starting from December 1st. So we should not print any paper. We have to have a digitalized system that will be incorporated with the government system to upload our invoicing and to be audited by Zakat and VAT, everything totally online, and we don't have to visit or to manage any paper to send or to receive. So this is at the AR level. And in the AP, again, the treasury and payments, and as a company, I'm talking about our company, before we have to do all our payments through telex transfer or checks. This is in the local, I'm talking in the local market and the local suppliers. So we are paying all this by telex transfer, and which needing signatory matrix, this to be signed and to send to the X or Y to sign the second signatory, and then it would go with the representative to or PRO to go to the bank and deliver it there, and to ensure that proper person receive it and he started to enter it in the system. So all this process, we tried many times to change it to be paperless and to be directly through the bank, to have a SWIFT or telex transfer digitally by the website of the bank or the bank application, by having the same authority matrix. Before it was rejected. Nowadays it is required.
Yeah.
They requested us to do that. So please go ahead and please start doing all your bank transaction paperless and through the application and websites.
All right. Thank you, Noor. Mohammed.
If you allow me, just quick, I fully agree مع الأساتذة what they said. Fully allow. I think I would add just 2 quick points. So I think reconciliation with the integration that is happening, more integration. I don't think reconciliation as per se, which is a key thing in our world, will remain in the short term. And in the short to mid term, I think any repetitive task will eventually. We will move eventually to automated RPA, artificial intelligence can do it, and then we'll focus into more of insight and decision making. So these are my 2 words on this.
Great, thank you. Just closing notes on really the areas that you are most concerned about and most excited about. Yahya.
In general, I'm concerned about cybersecurity, given the amount of dependability on technology. I'm concerned about communications. Now we're losing touch with people. We're losing touch with business partners, with staff. Some of my staff I haven't seen for a year. And on the long run, we have to evolve differently to manage these things. If today, for any reason, I remind you, when WhatsApp wasn't working for a few hours, what would you do? We didn't know how to live. And I leave you with that.
True.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yahya. Mohammed, areas of concern and excitement.
Definitely, I'm excited about the change. So today, as my colleague said, I think, alhamdulillah, we are blessed to be in Saudi, because the pace of change is frankly drastic. And in this era of the world, if you don't be as fast as the world, you will be left out. So I think I'm excited with the change and being there. And at the same time, I'm worried, do we have the right pace to cope with this change? Because you will be also left out. Consumers and guests will not wait for you, and they're not loyal. As we all know what happened to Nokia, what happened to BlackBerry. Guest expectations are becoming much, much faster and ahead of us. So we have to, this is my worry. My worry, do we have the right, what it takes to basically live up to their expectation?
Thank you, Mohammed. Noor, very briefly.
Yeah, briefly. I'm optimistic with time saving due to the transformation, due to the digitalization. This time where I can do most of the paperwork, which I have to visit government entities, to visit some companies, to visit the bank. Now I can do it at home between my kids. I'm watching a movie and doing all my stuff easily. Then I can save time to do something else. And my worries is with Mr. Yahya about cyber security and cyber attack. Wherever we have an achievement, there will be a risk. So the risk is very high, and in all the sectors we have to be cautious and to be careful for implementing such a things with proper securities.
Thank you, Noor. And I think you also answered one of the questions on the chat about the risk related to digital transformation, and the most eminent one is really the cybersecurity and the cyber attack. I think our time has ended. It has been really a pleasure. Thank you so much for your insights. And I'd like to thank once again all the attendees who stayed with us this evening. If you have additional questions, please you can send it to us. And we will make sure we'll get our esteemed panelists to answer them. Thank you so much. Good night, or have a lovely. For us, it's a bit late in Dubai. For you, maybe the evening has just started. So enjoy your evening. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Anadi. Thank you for IMA and the attendees.
Thank you. Thank you,
my
Anadi.
colleague,
Thank you, everyone,
Muhammad
for
and Yahya.
attending. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good luck. Bye-bye.
Bye.